Hello friends, welcome again. Friends, as the students of literature, many times we come across different terms, some important words, while studying literature. And today we are going to discuss the term satire in this video. In this video, we will discuss the origin of satire, the definition of satire, the functions of satire in literature, and the types of satire. Friends, in fact, human society is an amalgamation. It is a nice combination of good things and bad things. So, satire is a device, it is a tool used by the authors, to mock at, to laugh at the follies of mankind, the drawbacks of mankind. Satire is, you can say, as old as human weaknesses. Why? Because we see in our society there are some blundering people, there are some corrupt people, and there are some social evils, there are some people with some weaknesses, some drawbacks, and that is the reason why, with these people there are some observers of these weaknesses, and these observers of these weaknesses of the society and of the individuals are the authors who expose the weaknesses of the people, who expose the follies of the society, who expose the social evils, corruption and all in literature. But to expose these things, the authors need one tool, and that tool is known as satire. The observers of this society, means the authors, they expose or they throw some light on these follies, weaknesses, drawbacks of the society in their literature. But in doing this, they need an important tool. They need a device which is known as satire in literature. In fact, satire is a very old device. It is an ancient form of expression to mock at the human weaknesses and to bring about some social reform in the society. Because in one of my previous videos also we discussed that literature has a very serious role to play in the society. Literature entertains the reader, it delights the reader, but at the same time, true literature must also teach some moral lessons to the society. True literature must also, reform the society. So this reformation of the society, this correction of the society is done with the help of the device which is known as satire in literature. Let's now discuss the term satire. This term satire actually comes from Latin language. In Latin, we have the word called satura langs. It means a medley or a dish of colorful fruits. In the same manner, the words like satirize, the words like satiric, all these are Greek origin words. But you may just understand that it is used in different forms of literature. This satire, this device is used in poetry, drama, essays, short stories, and most of the forms you find this satire used by different authors. Now let's dive deep to discuss the functions of satire. Let me give you the definition first. As you can see on the screen, Satire is a technique which is employed by the authors who are writing literature. Okay, satire is a technique used by the writers to expose and to criticize the foolishness and corruption of an individual or of a society by using humor. So you just understand that it is a technique adopted by the writers to expose, to criticize what? The foolishness, corruption, and other social evils of individual people or sometimes of the whole society, and it all creates humor or laughter. This is called satire. Mainly, satire has two important functions. Number one, it amuses the reader, it delights the reader, it entertains the reader. Okay, and number two, it reforms the society. It brings correction in the foolishness, in the drawbacks and the follies of the society. Number three, it appeals to our intellect. Satire creates humor because the element of humor is there, so it is very much obvious that it appeals our intellect, it appeals our wit, okay, and it creates laughter. Apart from these two important functions of satire, to entertain the readers and to bring reform in the society, these are the two important functions. Apart from these two functions, other functions also we may discuss is that satire helps the author to bring attention to the issues that is generally issues which are generally overlooked by the common people. Okay, it throws light on human weaknesses. Okay, and it makes us reflect on our own weaknesses, our own shortcomings, our own drawbacks. Because when we read a satirical work, a satirical play or a novel, we will, it makes us think whether we are also the same kind of people as presented in the work of art. So it makes us think on our own weaknesses. Okay, so these are the functions of satire. Let's now talk about the three important types of satire as found in English literature. And these three types of satire are Horatian satire, Juvenalian satire, and Menippean satire. One by one, we will discuss all these three types of satire in English literature. Horatian satire is named after a Roman poet called Horace, and he was living during the 1st century BC. For the first time, Horace used this kind of satire, and that he made it popular among other authors of literature, and that's why this kind of satire is known as Horatian satire. It makes fun of things in a short or even loving manner. It is not written with the intention of bringing about social change. I mean, Horatian satire, you can say, is a mild kind of a satire. It is a mild satire, it is a gentle satire, which does not aim to bring so a huge change in the society. So, it is gentle by nature, but it creates humor among the readers, among the spectators. Alexander Pope, one of the greatest satirists of English literature, he has written the poem The Rape of the Lock, and in this work you find this Horatian satire. Next type of satire is Juvenalian satire. This satire is named after Juvenal. Juvenal is a Roman poet again, but he was living during the 1st century AD. And this is, in comparison to the Horatian satire, is a very harsh kind of satire. It attacks a single target in the most vicious ways. Okay, so this kind of satire is very harsh and very bitter. It is mostly used in very serious political writings, right? And generally, Juvenalian satire targets not the whole community, not the whole society, but it targets the individuals in literature. George Orwell, he has written Animal Farm, and in this you find a nice example of Juvenalian satire which ridicules, which laughs at the communist governments for their complete lack of equality. The third kind of satire is Menippean satire. This satire is named after a Greek parodist called Menippus, and he was living in Greece during the 3rd century BC. Okay, and this kind of satire generally targets the mindsets or the worldviews instead of targeting specific people. So you can just understand the difference between Horatian satire and Menippean satire, because Horatian satire or Juvenalian satire, they target the people, they target the individuals, or sometimes the whole society. But Menippean satire does not mock at the individuals or the people. Rather, on the other hand, it targets the whole mindset, the whole thinking pattern of the society. And the tone of Menippean satire is harsher than Horatian satire. So that way you can say that Menippean satire is similar to Juvenalian satire as far as the tone of satire is concerned, because Horatian satire is gentle by nature, but Menippean satire and Juvenalian satire, they are harsh in tone, right? Let's have a look at some of the very popular satirical works as found in our English literature. Animal Farm, written by George Orwell. A Tale of a Tub, written by Jonathan Swift. Again, Jonathan Swift is a very popular satirist of English literature. Arms and the Man by George Bernard Shaw. Bernard Shaw, a 20th century comedy writer, okay, he has written Arms and the Man, which is full of satire. Catch 22, written by Joseph Heller. Don Quixote, written by Cervantes. Gulliver's Travels, written by Jonathan Swift. Okay, Alexander Pope, John Dryden, Absalom and Achitophel. All these are very popular satires of English literature. So friends, let's wind up the whole discussion at the end that satire is a tool used by the authors in plays, in poems, okay, in essays, to expose the weaknesses, the drawbacks, the follies of individuals sometimes, or sometimes the whole society. Satire has a very serious role. It has a serious function to play, and that function is to correct, to bring reformation in the society. Okay, it creates humor among the readers. Mostly you find satires used in comedies in English literature. So friends, here we come to the end of this discussion. If you have any doubts or questions, do write to me in the comment section of this channel. Thank you very much.